I think so, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Good afternoon, it's Robert and Julia Miller with the J. Patel Group and Rethink Real Estate with another exciting real estate update.
Exciting.
What episode?
I have no idea. Episode 93.
Almost got you. Episode 93.
93. I wonder what we'll be at by the end of the year. 7 weeks from now. That'll be November. So
Yeah, we'll be over 100.
we'll be over 100.
Yeah,
Yay.
that'll be cool.
We should go on a cruise.
To celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate.
All right, please like and subscribe so we can continue to grow our viewership and reach more people.
Help more people, yeah. So this episode we will look at our Cromford Report, which looks at statistics and what's happened in the market this past month, the month of September primarily. It won't be complete because we're not done, but it does help us kind of look to the future and see what's coming up.
And that's Valley specific.
Yep. In addition to the regular news that is national, both housing, economic, and regulatory news. So.
Then we'll look at rates, and then we'll finish up with inventory. All right, you got a joke for us?
I do. Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Words of advice.
I always like that.
Yeah. So never argue with a woman.
That's good advice.
If you win, things could get worse.
It's a good point. It's a no-win situation.
Usually it is.
Okay, I have an age joke.
Oh, okay.
Okay. My ability to remember lyrics from the 60s far exceeds my ability to remember why I walked into the kitchen.
It's true. It's true. You walk into a room, you're like, I cannot remember why I am here. What was I going to do?
All right, let's do a little bit of history.
If you're new
2006.
here, we usually start out with a joke, and we jump into history again, just because we like history, and just to see what's happened this week in history. Then we jump into the news and the thick stuff.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
All right, 2006 on September 26th, Facebook opened to anyone 13 or older with a valid ID.
Alrighty then, Facebook.
1982, Cheers debuts September 30th on NBC, beginning its 11-season run.
It's crazy that it went on for 11 seasons. It was a good show.
Yeah, it was a good
funny.
show.
Yeah.
1971, Walt Disney World opens October 1st in Orlando, Florida. For some reason, I thought that was opened a lot longer.
I did too.
Okay, 1954, The Tonight Show debuts September 7th on NBC with Steve Allen as its first host.
Steve Allen.
1908, on October 1st, the Ford Motor Company introduced the Model T at a price of $850.
Ooh. That was a lot of money then.
Finally, 1066, William the Conqueror invades England September 28th and lays claim to its throne.
Lays claim to its
I'll
throne.
take that seat, thank you. All right, let's move on to a little bit of housing news.
Okay. Here we go.
And something we definitely experienced with a client, sadly, this week. Payment shock. Even with cooling demand, rising interest rates are bringing payment shock to many potential home buyers.
In a big way.
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
The average mortgage interest rate has almost doubled in 2022. More borrowers are buying down points or trying adjustable rate mortgages.
ARMs.
Thank you. Shorter term loans and first-time homeowner programs. So we're going to start seeing some of those programs. Get rid of that spam call. We're going to see more and more of these creative programs coming back. So,
and we are using those as the seller incentives or
the buy down, the rate buy down.
Incentives to buy. The sellers offering to, instead of reducing their price, offering to buy down your rate as a buyer. So,
yeah, and it's much more profitable for the buyer because it's kind of a one-time deal when the price gets reduced, but if you can buy down that rate, over the course of a loan, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, sales and prices soften. The median price of an existing home fell to $389,500.
Okay.
Still up 7.7% from a year ago.
From a year ago.
We are still experiencing inflation. Appreciation. It's just not at the crazy rate that it was. Builders feeling low. Nearly a quarter of home builders reported lowering prices in September, up from 19% in August, and we are getting a lot of advertisements in our email with new lower price sheets from almost every builder.
Well, now's the time to get it, because I'll tell you, from years past anyway, they don't reduce their price come the end of the year. People think, oh, it's the end of the year. And I think you've got a news story that talks to that. I would be surprised if that happens here in the Valley. Nationally, it might be a thing, but here in the Valley, they hold steady. In fact, I've even seen them raise prices at the end of the year. They're not trying to clear inventory, or they haven't in the past. Now, times are different, that's for sure, and they could be wanting to get things off the books before the end of the year.
Typically, it's the December. If you can go and buy your home, a new construction home in December, they'll have the most desire to get a home sold and get it on the books for that year, so that their balance sheet is more positive.
You would think.
You disagree.
I do disagree. We will see how it goes.
We'll see how when December rolls around.
Yeah, we will see.
More than half reported using incentives, including rate buy-downs. We just talked about that. Yeah. Free amenities, so washer, dryer, refrigerator, landscaping. You talked about HOA. Right?
HOA for a year. I've seen that already. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, we haven't seen that in a long time.
Long time. 2007, 2008. Yeah. But, yeah. Not that the market's a 2008 market. We'll come to that later, but it's not that.
All right. Economic news. U.S. hikes rate. The Federal Reserve last week announced another rate hike of 0.75, which everybody kind of knew was coming.
We did, but
the problem was the additional baggage that came along with it when he made the announcement. Jerome Powell made that announcement. So we'll get into that here in a minute. This is the fifth hike of 2022, and it brings the rate up from to a range of 3% to 3.25%. Raising rates theoretically can curb inflation by discouraging spending.
Theoretically.
Housing props up inflation. Housing prices drove overall August inflation, while many other inflation sources are easing. Shelter costs, however, continue climbing, up 0.7%. So again, pretty much determined that the way to curb inflation is going to be on the backs of housing. So markets gloomy. September stocks are tanking, with the S&P 500 down 13%. It's been pretty brutal.
It has been brutal.
So, that's down 13% since mid-August. Oil prices fell below $80 per barrel. Love to see that at the pump.
Yeah, we're not seeing that quite yet.
Even though supplies are tight, so with tight supplies, it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
And so this is signaling more global worries, which is not helping the market at all. So that additional baggage I talked about that they announced when they announced the rate increase. They expect the baseline rate to be as high as 4.4% by the end of the year. We're at 3 right now, so that's a huge jump by the end of the year. And 4.6% in 2023. So they're anticipating going to have to continue doing it into next year. Big rate hikes are expected to slow down the economy, goosing unemployment to 4.4%. Bad news, more bad news.
Yeah, again, I don't understand how this is supposed to help.
And while GDP dipped slightly to 0.2%, more bad news. It was just a whole suitcase full of bad news, and it just tanked the stock market. The Fed expects the CPI,
Consumer Price Index.
Thank you. To fall back to 5.4% by the end of 2022. As you know, we're at 8.3 now, and they expect to reach their goal of 2% by 2025.
That's a long time away.
That is a long time away.
Wow.
We shall see. All right.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of economic housing, and just going to highlight kind of some bullet points. It's an hour-long presentation, so these are just the excerpts that we took from it. Look for new lender programs as the rate rises. And you had a couple of them, didn't you? Game On.
Game On, where they're buying down the interest rate. And you interpreted this, I said, by 50 to 100 points, which
basis
means,
points, which is 0.5% or
a half percent to a full percent. Okay.
Right.
So it's called Game On is one program that she talked about. Inflation Buster, which features lower rate and lower monthly payment during the first year.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Accepted contracts are 34% below 2021. That's no secret to everybody, but that's, Tina covers the numbers, and that's what the number is.
Yeah.
Expect the market to be in despair for the next 3 months, and I'm thinking it could be in longer. Basically, it's a way of describing the market. It's euphoric, excited, optimistic, hopeful, and it kind of, the bell's down, and we're at the bottom of the bell now.
Yeah, we're at the bottom of the bell.
Despair.
It's just a matter of how long we stay in the pit of despair.
Yeah, how long we're going to stay in despair. She touched on rentals. The average rental rate currently $2,226 a month for a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot home. In order to pay for that, a family to be considered affordable, the family needs to be bringing in $95,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was saying that the mortgage itself is up $376 a month so far this month.
With the increased interest rates?
With the increased interest rates, yeah. So to kind of correlate that to rate being up, home prices. So you hear people say, well, I'll not buy right now. I'm just going to wait and I'm just going to go rent. Well, unfortunately, rents aren't that much more affordable either.
Yeah, and if they get too high, then it pushes them into a mortgage. So
right.
It may not be a terrible thing, but okay. Talked about with the inventory of rentals going up, the ratio between what it's listed at and what it actually closes at. We now have a gap of about $120. So renters, don't be afraid to negotiate
your rent a little bit.
See if you can get that monthly rental rate down 100 or 150.
Let's not talking about short-term rentals come first of the year here, because we have the Super Bowl in town. So
yeah, no, we're not talking vacation rentals for sure.
Yeah.
More and more households are combining to cover that huge 22-26 monthly rent average. So singles are finding themselves with 2, 3, even 4 roommates in order to spread that cost and to meet the budget. We are, just a reminder, coming into our active adult season, so 55 plus. The peak season will be February and March.
Busy season.
Yep. Open Door has a lot of inventory. Did you have some Open Door info?
Yeah, I did. I have Valley-wide, they have 1,570 active listings and 451 under contract.
Wow. So that's
nearly 2,000 altogether.
Right.
But it gives them like 3 months worth of inventory.
Right.
They got a lot of active listings that they need to get under contract.
So they're sitting on homes, so there's an opportunity there.
There's your opportunity.
Possibly get a deal. Let's see.
And we did have one this week where we negotiated with a buyer, and Open Door definitely was negotiating, so that was great.
Yeah, they did come down.
Great to see.
Not far enough, unfortunately, but they did come down for sure.
No, it's okay.
Tina's Tambira, the Cromford Report's advice was, this is a time for sellers to be patient.
Yep.
You don't need to give your home away.
Right. Be patient. let us help you negotiate.
That's right.
Yeah.
One thing a lot of people are going, are we going to have another crash? Well, the biggest thing that tells you we're not is the low supply. We still have a very low supply of homes. If you compare it to, let's see, we're sitting at 19,600. In 2008, we had
57,000
listings. And a big gap of the number of homes that were actually under contract. It was huge. And
I don't have that number, but
we don't have that gap.
There was a big
so that's what's telling you that this is not a
up.
situation where there's going to be a crash. The biggest risk to home values is vacancies, and that's what you saw in that gap.
Yes.
Almost all those homes were vacant. Nobody was living in them, so it was false demand. So
weird.
Sellers, don't be afraid to wait to list. Again, there's no need to be desperate. Just be patient. Construction permits are down 49% year over year. We've talked about new home builders kind of backing down a little bit.
Yep.
Did you have additional information on that?
No, I just had that they were scaling back. The amount of new homes, new permits is definitely down. That's how that's measured.
Okay.
And how many spec homes or inventory homes we're seeing on the MLS is down. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sellers, one for sellers, days on market will spike in the fourth quarter. It happens every single year, and it doesn't matter how hot the market is. It did it last year, which is the hottest market ever, and we had a big spike in November, December for days on market. So you just have to be patient.
Yeah, and they say 34 to 44 days on market is typical for a balanced market.
That's another thing. The days of 2 days on market,
right
3 days on market are gone.
Yep.
And we're going to be back to a more typical expectation of 38 to 44 days on market. So 23% of listings did a price reduction. So we're starting to see more and more. Yeah, we're starting to see some of those concessions coming back. And Peoria is one of the strongest ones. They're only at 12% of transactions had concessions, but there were some other parts of the valley where it was in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, Surprise was a little bit higher at 14%.
Yeah, Surprise is very strong too. So Peoria is hanging tough on that, but we are starting to see that coming in. Sales list price to actual sold price. Typically, you can count on it being about 98%, 99% year in, year out. And then, of course, last year was an anomaly. We actually were running at 102%.
102, yeah.
So
it was big.
A seller could expect to get 102% of whatever they listed the home for.
Was
we're now back to normal a little more.
And you had bidding wars and stuff like that. So.
Right. So we're hanging tough. We're at 97.5%. So that's pretty much where we normally expect it to be.
Again, a sign of a balanced market.
Right.
Yeah, where sellers negotiate a little bit and they may be priced a little bit higher than what they need, so the buyer comes in at a lower number and they kind of meet in the middle.
Yep.
So they're coming off their prices a little bit, but not, not a lot.
Okay.
I think that was about it. I did want to reiterate probably what you're getting ready to lean on is the mortgage interest rates, and we know that's high.
Yeah, she reported, she used Mortgage News Daily, and it came in at 6.7, and that's what I've got, 6.725. So.
To reflect back, 5% was not uncommon to see in August. 3.1 December of 2021.
Wow. It seems like yesterday. 3.1 in December of last year.
And then if we reflect further back, the average rate in October of 1981 was 18.63%.
Wowzer.
So let's be thankful. It's high right now, but there are creative things out there on the lending side, like we talked about, that they certainly didn't have available to them in 1981.
Yep.
So that's one thing that I really liked. Yeah, we talked about affordability. As far as contract ratio, so how many active listings versus how many are under contract in a particular zip code, most of the zip codes throughout the valley are cold. They're just cold. Unless they had 2 listings and one of them went under contract, and then obviously that's a skewed hot number. So we were hot and hotter and even frenzied back months ago. We are actually here in Peoria, we are still considered a warm market. Greater Phoenix is still considered warm as well at about 40% contract ratio. So, things are bad, but not that bad. Things are still selling. Homes are still selling. Expired and canceled listings are elevated, but it's not dramatic. People are like, people are just canceling their listings. Well, yeah, some.
Okay, moving on to rates. 30-year, we were at 6.252. We're up to 6.725. 15-year, 5.758. We're up to 5.950. And the VA
dramatic.
is at was at 5.912. It's now at 6.311. The 7-year ARM, I didn't do anything with that because the last information we received on that was that basically it was going to be the same because you had to buy down points to get the 7 years, so it ended up coming out the same as the 30-year.
Right.
Inventory, valley-wide, we're starting to see a slowdown of that inventory. It's still going up a little bit every week, but not what it was. We were at 19,397 last week. This week we're at 19,602, so we added 205 homes.
Yeah.
Closer to home, Peoria, really flat, 674. They're up to 682, so they only increased 8.
Okay.
And Surprise only went up 1. They're at 902.
1. Wow.
Closer to home, again, everything is relatively flat. Trilogy at Vistancia went up 1. 520,000 is the most affordable. 1,199,000 the most expensive.
Wow.
The Village is at 50. They actually dropped 1. 379,000 the most affordable. 1,299,744 the most expensive.
Okay.
Blackstone Country Club added 1. They're at 10. 595 is the most affordable. 2,790,000 the most expensive.
Whew.
Portobello added 1 listing. They're most affordable 475,000. Most expensive 949,900. Sun City Grand went up 8. Most affordable 330,000. Most expensive 869,992. Sun City West went up 10. They're at 166. 204,999 the most affordable. 869,000 tops the list.
Wow, there's a lot of inventory there.
Yeah, a lot in. It's a big community.
It is, yeah.
Finally, Westbrook Village added 3. They're at 35 now. 330,000 the most affordable, and 620,000 the most expensive. Trilogy at Vistancia, homes under contract are sitting at 12, and number of homes that they've sold in the last 30 days is 15. Vistancia Village, there's 23 under contract. They've only had 10 closed, though, in the last 30 days.
So you can see our contract ratio there for Vistancia Village is about 50%. As we have 50 on the market, and there's 23 under contract. So, and then Trilogy, it's about 30%. Yeah.
12 and 15.
Yep.
Okay, that's our report for this week. Everybody have a blessed week, and we will see you again next week. Take care.
See you soon. Is it live?
It appears to be. Testing. I see movement.
Okay.
You look fabulous.
Well, thank you. Blue is my favorite color.
Is it?
Yeah.
Now it's mine.
You look like you need a cruise.
Somebody
needs a cruise.
All right.